This is the story of how our beloved Pomeranian, Ginger, was diagnosed with Pyometra at just 2 years old, and how we almost lost her because we didn't recognize the warning signs. Looking back now, we realize that Ginger may have been showing signs that something wasn't right long before we knew she was seriously ill. When Ginger was about 2 years old, she went through her first heat cycle. What seemed unusual was that it lasted for nearly 2 months. During that time, she had small but continuous vaginal discharges. We noticed that her cycle was very different from her mother's, but since every dog can be different, we didn't immediately think it was a sign of illness. Eventually, the discharge stopped, and we felt relieved. We thought her cycle had finally ended, and that everything was back to normal. But something wasn't quite right. Her heat cycle never returned again. Even more concerning, although we didn't realize it at the time, her vulva remained swollen. It never went back to its normal size after her heat cycle ended. From time to time, we would also notice a white discharge coming from her vulva. Since she didn't seem severely ill, we convinced ourselves that it might just be an irregular reproductive cycle or a lingering effect of her heat. Because Ginger was still active and affectionate most days, we didn't think much of it. Ginger had always been a slim dog. She never had a big appetite and often ate less than our other dogs. We would joke that she was simply a picky eater. Looking back now, we realize that what we thought was just her personality may have actually been a symptom of an underlying problem. As weeks turned into months, the occasional white discharge continued, and her vulva remained enlarged. Yet, because these changes happened gradually, they became part of our normal routine. We didn't realize that inside her body, a dangerous infection was slowly developing. Then one day, everything changed. Ginger suddenly lost interest in food completely. At first, we thought she was just having an off day. But one day turned into 2 days, and she still refused to eat. The only thing she would take was water. We became concerned, but we were still hoping she would recover on her own. At the same time, we noticed that her vulva looked even more swollen than before. She constantly licked the area as if it was bothering her. We could tell she was uncomfortable, but we still didn't understand how serious the situation had become. Soon after, we began hearing soft whimpers from her. They weren't loud cries. They were quiet sounds of discomfort that broke our hearts. It sounded as though she was trying to tell us she was in pain. We decided to let her rest and continued to observe her closely. We hoped that, with enough rest, she would start feeling better. Instead, she got worse. As the hours passed, moving around became increasingly difficult for her. She became weak and withdrawn. Even standing up seemed like a struggle. The Ginger we knew, the sweet, loving little dog who followed us around the house, was no longer acting like herself. That night, on May 13th, 2025, we rushed Ginger to the veterinary clinic, terrified and unsure if she would be okay. All we could do was hope and pray that Ginger would make it through. At just 2 years old, our little girl needed emergency surgery. As we handed her over to the veterinary team, our hearts sank. All we could do was wait and hope. We were terrified. Questions raced through our minds. Would she survive the operation? Had we brought her in too late?